This experiment involves testing the subject's ability to swim, as well as their combat efficiency in water. We shall start the first round of testing within an arena that has ample surfaces to retreat onto, with water below and a few creatures lurking in the depths. The subjects are quick to flee to the far side of the arena whilst the predators are preoccupied with dining on the other denizens of the test. Bingus drops a spear to Onion, who wastes no time in dispatching the egg bug. The pups are clearly divided on what exactly to do in this unfamiliar environment, but they know that there is danger. And so they split up in pairs. Bingus and Jib go into the water, while Fleece and Onion find safety in the metal works. They eventually reconvene at the top of the structure, where it is safest from the creatures below. But the pups are hungry and curious, and do not stay still for long. Fleece goes back down in an effort to grab more of the eggs floating in the water, and Jib follows and tries to provide cover for Fleece. They don't quite succeed, though I suppose they did provide as a distraction. Jib is eliminated. This is an unfortunate outcome, but the first tests are rarely successful, so this is not unusual. Slug cats are primarily terrestrial creatures and are unsuited to a fully aquatic lifestyle, though there are a few species that are semi-aquatic in nature. These particular slug pups originate from the more common land-based species. After Bingus is eliminated, leaving only Onion and Fleece as the sole survivors, I conclude this initial test. It seems that the subjects do not quite understand that they cannot apply the same tactics that they had before, and clinging to the land will only hamper their ability to adapt to the water. So let's try removing most of the landmass and see what they do in this next test. Jib is quick to realize that the stems of the lilypuck flower can act as an impromptu bludgeon. Fleece has also discovered that thrown jellyfish act as stun grenades to anything it lands on. The water is filled with creatures, and the water is practically a whirlpool of chaos as the pups struggle to remain balanced on the poles. Onion is struggling to remain buoyant in the water, while the jetfish harass them, and Onion ends up getting snatched by one of the salamanders. Fleece rescues Jib from the jaws of an eel before quickly swimming back to the pole in an effort to rescue Onion. Bingus attempts to rescue their fellow test subject. Unfortunately, Onion fails to capitalize on the opening Bingus gives them and is swiftly eliminated. This is unfortunate, and as soon as the salamander responsible re-emerges from its den, Bingus throws a spear at it, knocking it off of the pole before returning to their task of killing the egg bug with Fleece. Fleece gets the kill, but the maneuver forces them to fall into the water, and despite their efforts to ward off the predators, their thrown jellyfish doesn't land, and they get grabbed by the salamander. Bingus jumps in and tries to help, But after knocking Fleece out of the jaws of the salamander, it becomes clear that RNG did not favor Fleece this time around. The salamander, however, appears to have been wounded, most likely from the repeated jellyfish shocks and the blunt damage dealt by the surging jetfish still present in the arena. Though it still attempts to catch prey, Bingus is unwilling to lose yet another sibling and tries again to help. Jib has proven to be the most competent when it comes to combat in the water, but even with that skill, getting captured by an organism whose purpose revolves around water is inevitable. And the only thing that saves Jib is the fact that this salamander is unable to hold on to its prey due to the damage it has sustained. Bingus has retreated to one of the higher poles, displaying signs of obvious distress and an unwillingness to go back into the water. Jib climbs up to where Bingus is perched and seems to offer the wordless support Bingus needs to get back into the water. The test subjects did well, despite the fatalities. The resulting data was much more informative about the Slugpup's capabilities. We shall repeat this test again, but this time with a small change. Jib kills the egg bug this time around with the assistance of Fleece, but none of the subjects seem eager to go into the water with the Leviathan around. This is reasonable. The Leviathan is gradually picking off anything it can clamp between its jaws. The jellyfish, despite how small they are in comparison, are doing a decent job at slowing the Leviathan down. For an instant, Onion grabs hold of one of the jetfish, but almost immediately releases it to distract the Leviathan. The test subjects appear unsure on what to do next. There is no possible way for them to defeat this Leviathan. Subsequent tests involving the Leviathan result in similar conclusions, and eventually the test subjects began to voluntarily throw themselves into the jaws of the Leviathan. I suppose this behavior might be their way of protesting. In conclusion, do not allow your slug pups to enter the water. Do not even let your slug pups near the water, especially if there are jetfish close to shore, because an impact from a jetfish on land is often fatal to slug pups. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to deal with a little infestation problem. Well, it seems that gas mask isn't just for show. I'll have to come up with an alternative way to deal with the intruder.